Thank you all for joining today for youth leadership across the 5 Ts. Please note, closed captioning is available and can be enabled at the bottom of your Zoom screen by clicking across the three buttons labeled More and then clicking the option labeled CC. My name is Ava Nadell. My pronouns are she, her, and I am the Operations and Events Coordinator at Philanthropy Together. Philanthropy Together is a global initiative to grow, connect, and strengthen the field of collective and collaborative giving with the programming like our We Give Summit. Throughout today's session, please engage with us in the chat and be mindful of our We Give Summit community guidelines. Please stay with us until the end of the session when we'll announce someone who is here in this Zoom right now to receive your choice of a gift, a book, a card deck, or a training for nonprofit leaders. This year's We Give It Summit centers community-based organizations and how all of us can give together to best support them. In today's session, we're going to explore how collective giving groups can show up for nonprofit partners beyond the dollar through the 5 Ts: time, talent, treasure, testimony, and ties. Due to time zone differences, this discussion was pre-recorded, and some of our speakers may be joining us today to engage live in the chat. With that said, I'm happy to turn it over to begin today's pre-recorded session.
Thank you everyone for joining today. We have a super special panel planned that I have the pleasure of moderating. My name is Marky Morrison and I work as a program manager at Giving Tuesday. If you are not already familiar with Giving Tuesday, we are a global generosity movement that is unleashing the power of radical generosity. You may have heard of Giving Tuesday as Tuesday after Thanksgiving in the United States, where nonprofits are fundraising, but it's so much more than that. It is a vast network that is bringing together communities to give back all around the world, all year round. So my role at Giving Tuesday is all about engaging young people in giving back. So every day I get to work with youth leaders around the world who are making positive change in their communities, which is why I'm super excited to be moderating today's panel, where you will get to hear from three incredible young leaders who are doing just that, giving back and shaping a better world. I really love working with young leaders in this space because they aren't waiting to take action until they get older. They are doing it right now. I also believe that they are one of the most creative demographics when it comes to giving back. They really think about generosity in all forms and find ways to give back beyond just donating money. And that's what today's conversation is really about: unlocking collective generosity through all different forms of giving, talent, time, ties, treasure, and testimony, and even more than that. So these panelists have incredible knowledge and expertise in this area, and I'm confident that you'll learn a lot from them today. So with that, let's meet our panelists. Dana, let's start with you. Tell us who you are and where you're from, and then tell us a little bit about how and when you got introduced to philanthropy.
Half a day. Hi, hello. I am Dana Pangilinan, and that's how we say hi in a way in on Guam, which is where I'm at. And I am a senior currently, senior at Father Duenas Memorial School. And how I started with philanthropy was through my parish church. We started as a community giving back group, and what inspired me the most was when we visited these foster homes, or when these foster homes would come visit the local playground. We would always make these little gift bags to give them back to them, and which was one of the key factors that inspired me to do one of my projects this year or last year for Giving Tuesday.
So thanks for being here, Dano. Gabrielle, over to you. Tell us about yourself and how you got introduced to philanthropy.
Hello everyone. My name is Gabrielle. I'm from South Carolina and I am president over CYF. I was introduced to philanthropy in middle school, and my first service project was giving fresh vegetables and fruits to the elderly. This was during COVID, so it was really needed. Um, I've been a part of this organization for about 8 years now, and I just can say that this is probably one of the best things I've done in my life.
So thanks for being here, Gabrielle. And Taylen, last but not least, tell us about yourself and your start in philanthropy.
Hey everyone, my name is Taylen Reddy. I'm from Durban, South Africa. I'm a climate and environmental justice activist and a member of the grants committee at the Youth Climate Justice Fund. I think when I think of philanthropy in a professional sense, I'd say the start was in re-granting microgrants for a global movement against plastic pollution, specifically in sub-Saharan Africa. But beyond professionally, when I think back, I think how much is embedded within our culture and society, I'd say across Africa. I think about being a child and going to school with a packed lunch with few sandwiches. And some days there would be like a friend or classmate that would be coming to school without lunch that day and knowing we would share that. And maybe one day it would be me going without those sandwiches one day and it's being shared and it's building that knowledge and collective identity and knowing that we are in community, and nurturing that and how it translates into now the work that we do is something that's really beautiful to see.
Thank you, Taylen. And thank you all for being here today and sharing your stories with us. I loved getting to hear how you got your start in philanthropy. So let's talk about what you're up to now. I want to hear from each of you about what you're doing in your communities to give back, and also how that giving is going beyond just financial giving. So Taylen, let's start with you.
Thanks. Yeah, and I think when we think about how giving beyond just financial giving, something that's so important is shifting away from the conventional grant making systems that are a linear relationship and realizing that it needs to be sustained and sustainable and built on trust. When young leaders are being resourced and supported, um, we need to build these on systems of co-creation, and also understanding that co-creation can be messy and is messy, and trusting not just each other, but the process that things will fall together and things do come together. We kind of live in this society and times that are built on urgency and efficiency. And sometimes it needs intentional resistance to that urge, where we're always thinking about outcomes, we're always thinking about outputs, and not the people that are associated and how sometimes these can have adverse effects on them, really connecting on that personal level, providing support outside of just financial capital, but support sometimes in hearing out and listening and building solutions together and providing mentoring or resourcing in ways that really support the person behind the project and not just the project itself.
Yes, I love that you named co-creation and the messiness of it because it is sometimes, but it's also beautiful in that way. And will you give us a little more background on your organization, and maybe how you all are working through co-creation?
Sure. So the Youth Climate Justice Fund is a youth to youth grant and capacity support organization. Most of our grants are focused on the Global South and led by people in the Global South. A lot of the grants do go to organizations and groups that are focused on grassroots and community-led solutions. And the mechanism as well that is provided is one that is very much decentralized and non-linear. In providing grants, it's not just the financial capital, but the support and trust that is needed to allow not just for the projects and organizations to grow, but to allow for a community to thrive and be nurtured even within the communities that they serve, and creating almost a community out of it where there is a sense of belonging and a feeling of being able to lean into the expertise of all of the grantees together and the community that has been built rather than isolated projects that are supported in silos.
That's awesome. And it's so important to have that support to go along with grants, because when you combine the two, you can do so much more and have that greater impact. So thank you. Dana, let's hear from you. Tell us about how you are giving back in your community and how that stretches beyond the dollar.
So currently, each month I try to do something to give back to the community, either through creating these boxes to give back to the homeless through food or clothing. And before, I wanted to focus on, I believe it's just highlighting on social media rather than directly giving back, because on an island we are so close and connected that we should know what's happening and what problems we face, and that we should do things as one big community. And so through KOAM Sparks Ambassadors, they've given us the advantage of posting online and through the news about one of my projects, which was Giving Tuesday, uh, supporting a foster home through an angel tree, which is them writing uh, their wishes or what they would like for Christmas, and then we would give it back to them on Christmas Eve. And then thanks to KOAM, like we've gained so much awareness about it that people would be asking me, or my peers would be asking me how can they join in on this, and they would love to join KOAM Sparks Ambassadors next year. And I believe uh, it's not just about giving back; it's more awareness wise. Like I've repeated so many times, and I think that with this digital world, social media helps a lot with that. Thanks to yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think when we're talking about different forms of giving, using your voice is such a powerful tool, and especially in today's day and age, that's an important one to use in a positive way. And will you give us a little bit more background on this KUAM Spark Ambassador program and what that looks like?
So KOAM Sparks Ambassadors program, it is a mix of journalism and social advertising or news media broadcasting. So far, we are given a monthly objective that talks about a specific cause that we will want to focus on. It could either be through a social media highlight, video, or post, or directly on the news station. We would be portraying as one of the broadcasters and talking on air. And another one would be just from, sorry, I'm blanking a bit, but I believe it's just that so far that I've experienced. And it's just KOM Sparks Ambassadors given the opportunity for youth leaders to step up and show that you can do it too at a young age, not just be financially high and then giving back to the community. You could do it anytime, anywhere, anyhow you would like.
Yeah, I think that's such an important message that we all have something to give, even if it's not money in our pockets. There are so many other forms to give back. Thank you. And Gabrielle, tell us about what giving looks like in your world and what you're doing.
Okay, so I decided, or not I, but like our group decided that we want to focus more on our age demographics. So that's like teenagers, middle schoolers. So recently we hosted a college and career ready seminar. We had high schoolers all the way down to middle schoolers in attendance. It just helps like students know that like college is approaching. Let's get ready, because a lot of people sometimes they don't know what to expect, or like just they don't know how to get ready. So that seminar helped a lot. It helped with knowing what you need to take, like SAT, ACT, what college cluster you want to focus on. Is that nursing? Is it business? Just like all those different types of things. And yeah, just in the long run, it'll give them a head start in their future.
That's great. Sharing knowledge and skills is something that's so valuable. And again, can't be replaced with money because we have to share that with each other. And you mentioned that you were doing that with a group. Will you tell us more about who that group is and when you're meeting, what you're up to?
Yes, so I am president of CYF, which is a giving circle, and it is the youth version of Cola Gives. Cola Gives and CYF kind of go hand in hand. Um, CYF is youth led, so it's high schoolers, middle schoolers, and This is gonna come like later. I'll talk more about it later. But CYF is a lot of more creative ideas. We get to come up with like different things like college tours, different types of things that we like to do just to give back. It's just really fun and yeah, I just love it.
That's great. I can see the passion for it in your voice and also just
Yeah.
like how that community really amplifies that passion. So thanks for that. So you all have such great leadership experiences in different capacities and roles. So I want to dive more into that and what you're doing in collective giving and through leadership in these experiences. So Gabrielle, let's go back to your giving circle because I'm super excited to talk about that. Um, has your giving circle ever supported a nonprofit and then decided to deepen that engagement because you really found a passion with that organization?
Yes. So one time we decided to participate in Harvest Pack, which is a foundation. They do an oatmeal packaging where we package oatmeal for families in the Richland 1 and 2 district. And it was a one-time thing, but our group enjoyed it so much to where we make it an annual thing now. It helps with teamwork and leadership skills. It gives everybody a job, if that's like pouring the oatmeal in, weighing the oatmeal, weighing the brown sugar and cinnamon, all that type of stuff. It's super fun. We play music and it's such a looked forward to event. Yeah, that's like, I was surprised because originally we did not have a lot of participation on the first year, but every year we just keep on growing and growing. So.
Great. And where do you think that growth comes from? Is that the community you've created in your giving circle?
Um, I think yes, the community, but it's also like social media, from all of our members posting on their stories on Instagram, TikTok, that type of stuff. Like even my friends have reached out to me and was like, "Hey, I want to join. Can I join?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." It like because the more youth, it just makes us look like, oh, youth isn't just sitting around on their phone. No, we actually want to give. Like we're here to help.
I
So
love that. And using that social media to show off that great stuff and showing how fun it looks. I mean, hearing you talk about it, I'm like, that sounds fun. I want to come out to the event. So thank you for that. And I'm glad that it's growing and excited to see how you continue to engage with them. Awesome. So Taylen, you talked about how your organization is awarding grants. Have you ever had an experience where maybe you learned that a grant recipient needed some more support beyond just mailing that check? And how did you provide that support?
Yeah, and I love this question because I kind of have two different perspectives of it. In working on a project that was funded by the Youth Climate Justice Fund, before I did join as a member of the grants committee. So it was also getting the experience firsthand of the type of capacity support that is offered and the kind of trust-based mechanisms that are embedded within the process. How much of, for example, the reporting is based on trust and understanding that young people, as Gabriel mentioned, want to help, want to give what they can, and contribute towards projects that are aimed at building in their communities. But sometimes building those bridges are so difficult. And you see that so often within different grants that are awarded as well. Um, as young people, we kind of sometimes have a fear of money and of asking for money. And sometimes that's generational and something that is built and snowballed over time, especially in the global south. Um, when grants are awarded, sometimes there are these expectations that come with it, and we see so many young leaders burn out over time in overextending themselves to try to meet those expectations. Something that's so important from a funder or a grantor perspective is allowing space and time for the young leader to kind of work it out and ground themselves in not just the grant, but the experience of holding the project that they're leading. Um, from there, I think there's so much of clarity that comes with it. And again, builds that trust between that relationship that has to be sustained and has to be two ways.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you talking about making that time and space for growth. I mean, this is a learning opportunity, receiving a grant and, starting a new project. And so, giving that flexibility and support to get there, because people can get there if they have the right support system. So, yeah, it's cool to see how those have been combined in your work. Great. And Dana, so you talked a little bit about the Spark Ambassador program in Guam, which is specifically about supporting youth leaders, right? So what about how that program was run made you feel supported as a young leader and excited to give back?
We started this program back in around October, September, and we had our first meeting. We were when they first introduced us Giving Tuesday, it was basically just anything you can imagine. They told us anything that you want to push, support, or give, it's through here that we will support you. And it wasn't an adult like telling you what to do. It was our what we want to do, what we want to push, and then it was adults supporting us, telling us that this is possible. You can definitely do this, and and that some ideas may not work, which is why we had our first meeting, which was a proposal, and then on further on, we didn't even have consistent like monthly meetings. It was just a checkup on us, how we were doing, and then it was basically our responsibilities to do our youth-led events. And they told us that it's not just up to us. We can invite anyone. Anyone's included in our push to support the community, because KOM Sparks isn't just a closed people in KOM and Sparks are involved in it. It's open to anyone, and it is the start. It is only ignited by the ambassadors to push their own projects. And yeah, thanks to that, here where I am supporting my own island.
Yeah, I love that. And how did it feel to be given so much flexibility and responsibility in being able to go out and do something good?
It was a little stressful at first because we're going in blindly, not knowing what to do, and each of us are youth leaders, and we've had our experiences managing school clubs, school activities, or community activities. But it's a big step up when it comes to a big project that may or may not impact the island at the same time. And I believe it was just their adult presence help us push our own passions. Yeah.
Definitely, yeah, that connects back well to what Taylen was saying about having that support. But you all rose to the challenge and, implemented these amazing projects, so it clearly worked. So we might have some people on the call who are wanting to engage young people and get them involved in giving back. So from your experience, having that be a success, what advice would you give to adults leading a program with youth in engaging them and encouraging them to give back?
I believe that it shouldn't be a direct command type of thing. I feel like as much as there is a big age difference, that shouldn't matter. That like you guys should talk one to one on the same level, being, hey, I like what you're doing. I believe you can do it yourself, and because honestly, as a youth, like looking at adults, how they can be, you know, always telling you what to do, and you might be dependent on them. But as a youth, you can do it yourself too, and you can work with adults on your own stuff, on own projects and passions.
Yeah, absolutely. You're super capable and can do a lot if given that support in that room to do that. That's great. Um, so you all have kind of mentioned projects or programs that have some sort of intergenerational component, right? You're a young person working with adults or vice versa. Um, so I want to hear from each of you what it's like working with another generation and what are you learning from them And what do you think that they're learning from you? Taylen, I'll pass that to you to start.
Yeah, thanks, Marky. I think it's so important for us in our generation to recognize that we aren't starting from scratch. Um, and we're building off of movements and work that has been done over decades and maybe centuries, and carrying forward all of the lived experiences, and work that has been done by those that have come before us. But also on the other side of it, with older generations giving young people the trust and space, um, to know that they already have the power and wisdom to find their way and build off of the solutions to chart their own paths, in the solutions that are needed in our ever-changing world. So beyond just the support that is given, um, it isn't a template of what needs to be done. We're finding our own templates and building our own pathways towards solutions, to the world that we were born in, without having the time to settle into it, but needing to figure it out and find our way in it.
Yes, definitely. And you're in a different context, a different time, and have different perspectives. So it's important to, like you said, build that own template. Gabrielle, tell me about your experience with intergenerational giving and what the learnings were from that.
Yeah. I just learned that the older generation is like our foundation. So like we don't have to, like Taylen said, we don't have to create anything from scratch. They already built that foundation, so we are allowed to have creative ideas and being able to make these new annual things. Like recently, we got to, well, we always have our annual college tour, but we got to host an etiquette class for youth around our district, and it was just so fun to like teach what is the meaning of a fork, what is the meaning of a butter knife, just learning that type of stuff, how to sit up straight, just different stuff like that. It's just so fun, just so people can have these different experiences, because I know, like whenever there's job interviews, sometimes your boss will take you out to dinner and they'll judge you off of that. So you have to know your etiquette skills. We also are trying to do public speaking workshops, but all of this wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for the older generation, because they were the ones that built the foundation.
I love that about having that foundation and building on that, right? Like let's not start over. Let's
Yeah.
work collaboratively and grow together from our different perspectives. So yeah, thanks for sharing that. And Dano, tell me about your experience in the intergenerational giving space.
Honestly, it wasn't as much pressure as it was to be a student with a teacher in a classroom. It's more like a guiding friend, and they've had the our advisors from KOAM. They've done this so many times, and any idea we shoot out, it's never given a slight hint of this might not work. It's always a positive affirmation, and just working with an older generation, it gives like some sort of morale boost for as a youth, because as starting from or just starting as at a young age, it might just be a lot of pressure, and then these advisors will just help you out a lot. And it's been great working with the other generations, and
That's awesome. Yeah.
yeah.
That's great. Yeah, it's nice to have that role in a supporting sense, and guiding you and uplifting what you're doing. It's awesome. Um, so each of you have kind of touched on something about how you were doing a project and then that maybe inspired someone else or new people joined to that. And I think that's what collective giving is really all about. Like we're not just doing it on our own, we're bringing other people along for the ride. And ultimately, I think that makes it a lot more fun. So I want to hear what advice you have in getting other people to join the work that you're doing and giving back, and making that something that's really collective amongst your peers. So, Gabrielle, do you want to start us off with that?
Yes. So I am 17 years old and I'm graduating this year and I will be attending South Carolina State University in the fall, which is super exciting. But something that I've noticed when it comes to philanthropy and giving back is the lack of financial literacy. So when I go to college, my plan is to start a club implementing financial literacy and investing tips, budgeting, different things like that, so we can set up our students for a better future. Um, just something that I've looked at and I'm just like, I know I can do something to help not only college students because there's things like student loans and just like we just can be so much better if we learn these financial literacy tips. So hopefully I can get that up and running and it could help someone in the future.
Absolutely. I feel very confident that it will. And a club is a great structure to get people to join, right? It's something that's advertised within your university and people can sign up and show up and be really welcomed in that. So I think that's a great technique. Um, Dano, do you want to touch on just what it looks like to invite other people in and get them excited about philanthropy?
With KOAM Sparks, I started off as myself and I brought in my classmates. And it wasn't just for having to do it. They've actually had fun trying giving back to the community. And I believe I think it's just raising more awareness and it's like a domino effect that when you influence others to give back, they themselves will start their own passions, inviting others uh, to also partake in their passions, and it'll just go down and down, hopefully spreading to the younger generations and helping the older generations.
Definitely. And making that first ask is really important, going to your classmates and saying, come along and join with me. So it's important to take that first step and do that. And Taylen, how about you on getting people to join your work?
Yeah, and I love what Dana said as well on how it can be a fun process. And it's something that's so important that this isn't something that is just a profession or something in a professional sense, but it is creative expression as we build. And it doesn't have to be work. It's also building community, and we can do this while playing games and dancing and swimming and doing things in our community with our people. And that in itself is resistance and activism, and not following a template of what philanthropy needs to be.
Yes, exactly. I love that creativity, and that's really what we're talking about today is how do we make giving fun? How do we do it in these different forms and, use our talents and our interests and our skills to really make that an exciting space to be in. Um, so I know sometimes, when you're looking for an organization to support, it can be kind of daunting to try to find someone and do that research on them. And so I'm curious about your process in finding nonprofits or organizations to support. How do you go about that? What's your process for reviewing them and what makes them stand out to you? Gabrielle, do you want to talk about that with your giving circle, how you all find nonprofits?
Yeah, sure. So I think it's mainly word of mouth or like if our members has a church and they're doing a give back or a drive, we'll be like, oh hey, we can partner up with you and we can give back this and we can help you get exposure by using our name and using our social media platforms. I'm trying to think what else. What's the question? Can you repeat the question again?
Yeah, how are you finding organizations to support?
Yeah. Yeah, mainly word of mouth. And I'm trying to think like whenever we do other activities, if it's someone that sees a student like speaking to them really good with the good vocabulary, they'll be like, "Hey, what are y'all doing? Let me give you something else to do." So, yeah, that's pretty much what it is.
Yes. Yeah, that's great. I think word of mouth is so important, and that's why we need to talk about what we're doing and expose other people to these great organizations and what they're up to as well. And when you're hearing about those, what makes you say, "Ah, I really love what that organization is doing. I want to support that"? What's that standout factor too?
I love when organizations are for supporting the youth because we we have a bright future, and I feel like we're gonna be the change in the future. We just have to keep on supporting the youth and making sure that we have these spaces to be able to do what we're doing.
Yes, absolutely. It's great to see organizations who want to support youth. Um, Taylen, what about you? How are you finding organizations to support and what makes them stand out to you?
Yeah, we have an open call for applications, and I think it's kind of the same way. It's a lot of it word of mouth, shared through different partners and allies and youth networks, and also posted on LinkedIn. Um, and something I would say that really stands out with projects and organizations, uh, I'd say like across everything is when organizations show up as themselves and you can kind of see the passion in it. Um, and that it isn't something that is being done for the grant, but would be done, and this is support for that is being done. Um, and the passion really shows in what they're doing and how they aim to do it.
Yeah, passion is contagious and you want to support people when they're passionate about something. So that totally makes sense. Um, and Dana, we lost you for a second, but we were talking about how you go about finding nonprofits to support and what makes you really want to support them. If you want to talk about that related to how you chose the Project for Giving Tuesday or just in general. And you're on mute. There we
Honestly, it's based on research and the type of passion you want to push. Like for me, I was inspired to help support foster homes, and I didn't exactly support a foster home. It was a family benefit welfare home, and it's not exactly what worked, but it's still related to your passion. And I think it's just whatever you like, you should push and support. Yeah.
go.
Sorry there.
Definitely.
I don't know difficulty.
No
Technical.
worries. Yeah, I'm glad you raised that like reflection on the inside of what do you care about and what are you excited to support. And Taylen and Gabrielle, I'm really glad that you lifted this element of storytelling because again, we have to talk about what we're doing and talk about what we care about. That inspires others, that gets the word out for others, and that's how we grow our work. So we're almost at time, but do want to end on one last thing. So I started the call talking about how I love that young people are not waiting for the future. You're doing stuff now. But ultimately, the work that you're doing now is building a better future for all of us. And so I want to know what your vision for the future is in philanthropy. So what is that big, bold dream vision for what giving looks like in the world? I know that's a big question to think about, but let's dream big here. What do you want to see in the future of giving? Dana, let's start with you.
Honestly, with philanthropy, I just wish there was more awareness. I think so. Like with our growing generation, social media is more populated now, and when I grow up, I hopefully want to go into marketing too. And I think marketing is a really great factor into philanthropy. It's to just show awareness and that like KOAM Sparks, you can do it yourself, or you could do it with others as a group or a collective.
I love that. And I love thinking about a world where I open my phone and scroll through my feed and it is people volunteering and donating and offering programs and grants and that's the messages that we're getting through our phones. Taylen, how about you? What's your big, bold vision in giving?
Think I'd say it's kind of shifting the narrative of giving away from it being charity to it being building solutions together, and also an element of knowledge exchange and partnership. in that it's a foundational relationship that is built towards the projects that are going to be implemented and towards the communities that are going to be capacitated and supported.
Yeah, absolutely. We need to build that infrastructure and solve these problems together. And I think we have to do that collectively, right? That's problems aren't getting solved in silos. And so it takes having those conversations, finding those partners to work on that together. And Gabrielle, tell us your vision for the future of giving.
I liked what everybody said. I just think what we also need to do is make sure that, or not make sure, let's like try to make this like a trend, like make it trendy so we can get more youth attracted to it because youth are always trying to be on trend. So if we make philanthropy or giving back a trend, then it'll be like, oh, I want to do that. I want to do that. So we'll get a lot more youth involved and that'll just put this a good image on youth in general. Like we are trying to give back.
Yes, I love it. And to everyone watching this panel right now, that's your call to action, right? Go talk about it, go make it fun, go get people excited about it. Let's make it trending because it is cool, it is fun. Let's get everyone talking about it. So I, for one, am super optimistic about all of your visions for the future. Talking to people like you who are doing this work and knowing that there are so many other people like you that are inspired by your work and doing this and making it happen. I know we can reach those goals together. So thank you, each and every one of you, for your time today, and for the work that you're doing today and in the future. I can't wait to see what the future of philanthropy looks for each of you individually in your paths. Gabrielle on your college campus, and Dana, I know you're headed off to school next year, and Taylen in your organization and building those grants. So thank you for that work and for sharing your knowledge with us today. I know I have a lot to take away from this and reflect on and apply that in the work that I'm doing every day. And thank you to everyone for tuning in. I hope you were able to learn some great tips and ideas from these leaders and get inspired on ways that you can give back through all different forms of giving beyond money. There's so many other ways to get people excited about it and do that work in your community. So thanks for joining us today, and go out and do something good and tell us your story today. Thanks.
Hello. And first, just want to give a shout out and a big thank you to our panelists, to Dano, Gabrielle, and Taylen. What an inspiring conversation. And Marky, thank you so much for facilitating that. I, I mean, young philanthropists are role models for our babies. And as someone put it in the chat, youth are also shaping change right now. And with KUAM Spark and Community Youth Force and Youth Climate Justice Fund, these are all incredible examples that showcase the power of us giving together. And so I know I'm leaving inspired, especially with what Gabrielle left us with. Like, let's make giving together trendy. I mean, today we just heard from youth in Guam, in South Africa, in South Carolina, in the US. And so like all over, youth are like they are making change happen. And so let's be loud and let's be proud about giving. And so I'm definitely like feeling that right now. With that, my name is Ilyasa Shabazz Davis, she, her pronouns. And in addition to being a member of the Philanthropy Together team, I have the pleasure of serving on Giving Tuesday's co-creation crew alongside U.S. community leaders who are inspiring radical generosity every day. And so, Marky, thank you again for holding this conversation and for being here live with us today. And Giving Tuesday has a new initiative coming up, and so would love for you to share with everyone what's coming up. What should everyone be marking on their calendars?
Yes, thank you so much, Ilyasa. Yes, get your calendars out. We have a very exciting new thing coming up. So a little background first, if you're not super familiar with Giving Tuesday, we launched in 2012, and in the 14 years since we've been around, the movement has grown to more than 110 countries, and we see millions of people activating each year. And one of the ways that we were able to grow that is because we saw people all doing something on the same day and really reinforcing that value that giving is a shared value and generosity is visible and people are talking about it, just as our panelists just mentioned. So, Together Tuesday is what we recently announced. It is the newest expression of the Giving Tuesday movement. It is still the core values of giving back and giving in any form. So this year it is happening on Tuesday, June 23rd. So you can think of it kind of like a mid-year Giving Tuesday moment. And it really has an emphasis on community care and action and giving back together. So on Together Tuesday this year, we'll see communities, young people, businesses, organizations, individuals, all taking action through their communities in whatever way they choose. So the same thing with Giving Tuesday, anyone can be a part of it. We hope that you will join us on June 23rd in giving back.
Awesome. So June 23rd, we have it down. And, in this space, we have Giving Circle leaders and collaborative funds. And so are there some specific ways that we can be thinking about tapping in for Together Tuesday?
Yeah, absolutely. It's really fun because it's so broad and you can give back in any form. Together Tuesday really has a big focus on community, so it's a great opportunity for collective giving groups. But participation can look like anything from checking in on a neighbor to restoring a community garden and really anything in between that you want to do to give back. So we encourage people to think about what actions you want to see happen in your communities and come together and go make that happen. So we just talked about the 5 T's and looking at all those different forms of giving. So hopefully that was inspiration for you to think about different ways that you can give back beyond just money too. And we have a toolkit to help you if you want to start planning a project. Looks like you just dropped the link in the chat to that landing page so you can see our toolkit on there that really walks you through how to plan a project for Together Tuesday. And then also, there's a really great platform on Be the People's website who is supporting this larger initiative. And that page has stories from around the country of what people are doing to give back. So you can get inspired and get some ideas for what you want to do. So any participation counts. It can be big or small. The important thing is that we're getting out there and doing something and making it visible so that we can inspire more people to do it.
Yes, love that. Thank you so much, Marky. And with Together Tuesday, and after hearing this panel, I'm like, all right, my nieces and nephews, like, all right, let's get together, let's do something, and really encourage others to think about ways like, yes, giving together for Together Tuesday with your collective giving group, but also how are we bringing our youth in and others to participate as well. So, Marky, thank you again. And before we wrap up this session, would like to invite our audience to answer a quick poll about what you thought about this session. And also want to say that our recording from this session will be available on your agenda in just a few days. And keep the conversation going. There was some conversation in the chat about like bringing our youth groups together, and like we can make that happen. Let's get on the Hoover community board and let's see what we can do. And want to announce our raffle winner for today. Congratulations to Bree F. Please check the chat for a link to claim your gift. And a big thank you to everyone for joining today, day 2 of We Give Summit. We look forward to seeing you later today. Collective Conversations is happening at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, and again tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. And so come back, join us again this evening, tomorrow for day 3. We're going to be closing out the summit with a keynote session with National Council of Nonprofits CEO Diane Yentl and Independent Sectors CEO Dr. Akilia Watkins in conversation with Philanthropy Together CEO Sadali Momeline. And so we'll also close out We Give Summit with a closing reflection space. So come back, tell us what you thought about all of these sessions, what you're sitting with, what you're ready to go and take action on. That is what we'll be doing at the Circle Back. So thank you all for being here, and we will see you throughout the rest of the summit. Bye.